Isabella was arranging flowers when she noticed the suspicious package. Everyone at the wedding preparation was filled with joy, but Isabella's trained eye examined the wires, packaging, and placement in the package. 13 years of Navy EOD experience told her this wasn't an ordinary gift. "Evacuate everyone," she said in a calm command tone. "I'll handle this." Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if this story moves you, make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow I have something very special planned for you. The morning of June 15th was exactly what every bride dreams of: clear skies, gentle breeze, and the kind of golden sunlight that makes photographs look like paintings. Isabella Chen's flower shop, Petals and Peace, buzzed with controlled activity as she and her assistant prepared the final arrangements for what would be the largest wedding of the season, T36. Isabella had built a reputation as the most sought-after wedding florist in the county. Her arrangements were works of art, her attention to detail legendary, and her ability to remain calm under pressure unmatched by any competitor. Brides trusted her completely, knowing that no matter what last-minute crisis arose, Isabella would handle it with professional grace. Today's wedding was particularly significant. The marriage of Jennifer Walsh, daughter of a prominent local businessman, to Michael Rodriguez, a successful attorney. 300 guests, 6 bridesmaids, an outdoor ceremony at the historic Rosewood Estate, and a reception that would be featured in the society pages. Isabella had been planning the floral arrangements for 8 months. The loading dock of her shop was organized with military precision. White roses, baby's breath, eucalyptus, and peonies arranged in perfect staging areas. Each centerpiece wrapped and labeled, bouquets organized by delivery sequence, ceremony decorations ready for transport. Isabella moved through the preparations with systematic efficiency that most people attributed to years of experience in the wedding industry. What customers didn't realize was that Isabella's approach to event planning had been shaped by 13 years of Navy explosive ordnance disposal training. Her attention to detail, her systematic preparation, her calm under pressure, all skills learned during years of work where a single mistake could cost multiple lives. Her assistant, Maya, was loading the van when she called out, "Isabella, there's a package here I don't recognize. Not on our delivery list." Isabella approached the package with the kind of casual attention most people would give to unexpected mail. But her trained eye immediately began cataloging details that would be meaningless to a civilian. The type of packaging tape, the handwriting style, the weight distribution, the positioning among her carefully organized supplies. The package was approximately 12 inches square, wrapped in brown paper with no return address. The IT had been placed near the wedding bouquets, positioned where it would travel to the ceremony site with the rest of the arrangements. Most concerning was the slight bulge in one corner and what appeared to be thin wires visible through a small tear in the wrapping. "Maya," Isabella said calmly, "step away from the van, please." "Is something wrong?" Maya asked. Noting the subtle change in Isabella's tone, Isabella's response was measured and professional. "Probably nothing, but I need to examine this package more carefully." Her training kicked in automatically. 13 years of EOD experience had taught her to approach unknown objects with systematic caution. The package showed several indicators that concerned her: unusual weight for its size, professional packaging that didn't match amateur bomb making, and positioning that suggested someone with knowledge of her delivery procedures. Isabella reached for her phone and stepped back from the loading area. "Maya, I need you to clear everyone from the shop and call the police." "The police?" "Isabella, what's wrong?" "That package contains explosive materials," Isabella said matter-of-factly. "This is now a crime scene." Maya stared at Isabella in disbelief. "Explosive materials? How could you possibly know that?" Isabella was already moving with the kind of calm urgency that came from years of training in situations where hesitation meant casualties. 13 years Navy EOD. Explosive ordnance disposal. I specialized in underwater bomb disposal and terrorist device identification. The words hit Maya like a physical blow. The quiet florist she'd worked alongside for 2 years had just revealed herself to be a military explosives expert. "Navy EOD?" Maya repeated, trying to process the information. "I'll explain later, Isabella said, pulling emergency equipment from a locked cabinet that Maya had never seen opened. Right now, we need to clear the area and notify emergency services. Isabella's examination of the package was conducted from a safe distance using techniques that most civilians had never seen outside of television. Her movements were precise, systematic, professional. The muscle memory of someone who'd spent years identifying and neutralizing explosive devices under extreme pressure. Definitely an improvised explosive device, Isabella announced after her preliminary assessment. Appears to be remotely detonated, probably cell phone trigger. Sophisticated enough to be dangerous, amateur enough to be unstable. Maya was backing toward the shop's front entrance, her eyes wide with fear and confusion. Isabella, how do you know all this? Because I've seen hundreds of devices like this one, Isabella replied, already calling 911. Emergency services, this is Isabella Chen at Petals and Peace Flower Shop, 1247 Oak Street. I have a confirmed IED on my premises. Immediate bomb squad response and area evacuation. The response was immediate and coordinated. Within 10 minutes, the area around Isabella's shop was cordoned off, emergency vehicles had arrived, and the county bomb squad was en route. Isabella found herself in the unusual position of briefing law enforcement about an explosive device while wearing a floral apron and standing next to wedding bouquets. "Ma'am," said Sergeant Martinez, the first responding officer, "you're certain this is an explosive device?" Isabella handed him her old military ID, her EOD certification, and a brief summary of her assessment. 13 years Navy, specialized in underwater and urban explosive disposal. That device contains approximately 2 pounds of plastic explosive with remote detonation capability. Martinez studied her credentials with growing respect. "Ma'am, what's your assessment of the threat level?" "Hi," Isabella replied without hesitation. "Whoever placed this device knew my delivery schedule and targeted a high-profile wedding. This isn't random vandalism. This is attempted mass casualty terrorism." The bomb squad arrived as Isabella was explaining the device's likely construction to a gathering crowd of law enforcement officials. Captain Williams, the team leader, approached with the kind of professional courtesy that one expert extends to another. "Ms. Chen, I understand you have EOD experience?" 13 years active duty, specialized in terrorist device disposal, Isabella confirmed. "I've maintained my certification and kept current with evolving bomb-making techniques." Captain Williams nodded approvingly. "Would you be willing to consult on this device? Your preliminary assessment could save us significant time." Isabella looked at the emergency response team, then at the package that threatened not just her business, but potentially hundreds of wedding guests who would be gathering at Rosewood Estate in less than 3 hours. "Absolutely," "Let me get my equipment," she said. Isabella's personal EOD kit was stored in a locked safe that even Maya had never known existed. The equipment was current, well-maintained, and obviously used by someone who'd never really retired from the profession. As she suited up in protective gear, the transformation from florist to bomb disposal expert was complete. Device appears to be a standard IED configuration, Isabella reported to the assembled team. Plastic explosive, cell phone trigger, designed for maximum shrapnel effect. Construction suggests someone with military or paramilitary training. Working alongside the bomb squad, Isabella approached the device with a methodical precision that had kept her alive during years of underwater disposal operations. Each step was calculated, each movement deliberate, each decision based on experience that couldn't be taught from textbooks. "Trigger mechanism is more sophisticated than typical amateur construction," she observed, examining the device through specialized equipment. "This person has access to military-grade components and advanced training." The disposal process took 47 minutes. Isabella worked with the calm efficiency of someone who'd performed similar operations hundreds of times, while law enforcement cordoned off an increasingly large area and prepared for potential evacuation of nearby businesses. "Device neutralized," Isabella announced finally, stepping back from the now harmless package. "Components secured for forensic analysis." Captain Williams approached her with obvious professional respect. "Outstanding work, Ms. Chen. That was textbook EOD procedure under civilian conditions. Isabella was already thinking about the implications beyond the immediate threat. Captain, this device was specifically targeted at today's wedding. Whoever placed it knew my delivery schedule and the significance of the event. This investigation needs to focus on someone with inside knowledge. The forensic analysis revealed that Isabella's assessment had been accurate in every detail. The device contained military-grade explosives, sophisticated triggering mechanisms, and construction techniques that suggested professional training. More importantly, the targeting had been specific and personal. Ms. Chen, Detective Morgan said during the follow-up interview, this device was placed by someone who knew your business operations intimately. Do you have any enemies or former military contacts who might pose a threat? Isabella considered the question carefully. Detective, in 13 years of EOD work, you encounter people who hold grudges. Most of them are in prison or dead, but some maintain connections to terrorist organizations or criminal enterprises. The investigation ultimately revealed that the bombing attempt had been orchestrated by a former terrorist operative who'd been targeting military personnel who disrupted his organization's operations. Isabella's successful bomb disposals in underwater installations had cost his group millions of dollars in destroyed equipment and compromised operations. He's been systematically targeting retired EOD specialists, FBI agent Sarah Chen explained. You're the fourth on his list, but the first to identify the threat before detonation. The suspect was arrested 2 days later, along with 3 associates who'd been planning additional attacks on military veterans who transitioned to civilian careers. Isabella's quick identification of the device had not only saved the wedding guests, but had broken up an active terrorist cell. Jennifer Walsh's wedding was postponed by 1 week, but when it finally took place, it was with a new appreciation for the quiet heroes who keep communities safe. The story made national news, but Isabella declined most interview requests. The quiet florist who'd saved 300 wedding guests from a terrorist attack preferred to let her work speak for itself. Ms. Chen, said the reporter who did manage to get a brief interview, why did you leave military service for flower arranging? Isabella smiled as she worked on a new arrangement, her hands moving with the same precision she'd shown while disarming explosives. Both jobs are about creating something beautiful and keeping people safe. The skills transfer more than you might think. Maya, who'd returned to work with a new understanding of her boss, watched Isabella work with amazement. I still can't believe you were Navy EOD. You're so peaceful. That's the point, Isabella replied. After 13 years of neutralizing things designed to destroy, I wanted to spend my time creating things designed to bring joy. Her phone buzzed with a text from Captain Williams. Heard there's another suspicious package downtown. Available for consultation. Isabella looked at her flower arrangements, then at Maya, then at the community she'd chosen to protect in her new career. Tell them I'll be right there, she said, already reaching for her equipment bag. That evening, Isabella returned to her shop after successfully neutralizing a second device planted by the same terror cell. The shop was filled with flowers for upcoming weddings, anniversaries, and celebrations, reminders of the life she'd built after leaving military service. Maya was waiting with questions and a new respect for the woman she thought she'd known. Isabella, will you go back to the Navy now? It seems like your EOD skills are still needed. Isabella considered the question while arranging roses for a golden anniversary celebration. I'm serving Maya, just differently. Some threats require military response. Some require civilian expertise. Both matter. Her phone buzzed with a message from her old EOD unit commander. Saw the news coverage. Outstanding work under civilian conditions. Once EOD, always EOD. Isabella smiled and typed back. Still serving, just with better hours and prettier tools. She continued working on her flower arrangements, each one a small act of creation in a world that sometimes seemed focused on destruction. Tomorrow there would be more weddings, more celebrations, more opportunities to bring beauty into people's lives. For every bouquet she tied with steady fingers, there was a silent promise that life, no matter how fragile, would not be overshadowed by fear or violence. Sometimes the most important battles were fought not with explosives and military equipment, but with patience, skill, and the quiet determination to keep building something beautiful despite those who wanted to tear it down. Each stem placed, each ribbon knotted, was her way of reclaiming control over a life that had once been consumed by the sound of detonations and the weight of split-second decisions. In her shop, the only timing that mattered was the bloom of lilies in spring or the soft opening of roses at dawn. Isabella Chen, former Navy EOD specialist, current guardian of life's celebratory moments, continued her work one flower at a time, one safe event at a time, one protected community at a time. She no longer measured her worth by the number of missions completed or devices defused, but by the smiles of brides clutching bouquets, by the comfort her arrangements brought to grieving families, by the joy that filled the air when her creations adorned a celebration. And though her battlefield had changed, her mission had not. She was still protecting life, still defying destruction. Only now she did it with blossoms instead of bomb suits, with scissors instead of wire cutters, with the steady heartbeat of a woman who knew that resilience could be as delicate as a petal and as strong as the roots of the flower she arranged. Have you ever discovered that someone in your community had skills that kept you safer than you realized? Share your stories in the comments below, and let us know what city you're watching from today, that if this story of hidden expertise and protective service resonated with you. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And don't miss the 2 compelling stories appearing on your screen right now. Click and discover more tales of everyday heroes with extraordinary backgrounds. Because sometimes the most beautiful work is done by people who've learned to create after spending years preventing destruction. See you in the next videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.